Anime thighs when she open up so wide, I got a twinkle in my eye. Asian pussy is so tight, I just really wanna pipe. Oh my gosh, she got them big ass titties, she's only 5. Anime thighs when she open up so wide, I got a twinkle in my eye. Asian pussy is so tight, I just really wanna pipe. Oh my gosh, she got them big ass titties, she's only 5.
Hey, bitch, I'm about to fuck this cutie, so I whip out my katana and I knock this little bitch out with just one hit like I'm Saitama. Why you act like you retarded? Like, little bitch, I don't want drama. I still hit when she says no, don't understand what she don't wanna. Ayy, sword fighting with my penis like I'm in a fucking dojo. All these bitches want me like my name was fucking JoJo. Asian penis is too tiny like it was a no-show. Bitch, don't watch your coochie, watch anime with the bros though.
With my motherfucking bitch, I might pull up, give those thighs a little motherfucking kiss. And man, if you talking shit, tell Ryuki on a list. Yeah, your sister is my groupie, she take this anime dick. Okay, like little bitch, I don't care if that fat ass is too deep. Score a bounty on that pussy, you can call me Spike Lee. Putting out fire, getting ice, bitch, I'm Todoroki. And if you got some shit to say, then you can say it to me.
Anime thighs when she open up so wide, I got a twinkle in my eye. Asian pussy is so tight, I just really wanna pipe. Oh my gosh, she got them big ass titties, she's only 5. Anime thighs when she open up so wide, I got a twinkle in my eye. Asian pussy is so tight, I just really wanna pipe. Oh my gosh, she got them big ass titties, she's only 5.
Asuna, Mikasa, please can you just give me head? Please just get on your knees, bitch. I'll beat up that ass like my name is Bruce Lee, and I'll eat up that pussy like I'm Kaneki. Ayy, Asian people driving, are they even trying? I be buying all this hentai so I jerk it, I'm not lying. Now I'm sighing cause I want Hatsune Miku, now I'm crying. When I fuck anime bitches, I'll be moaning and be whining. Ayy, thick thighs look sexy even when especially she decides to wear her dress. Ooh, nuzzles on my neck, now we laying on the bed. Man, I love my body pillow, especially giving head. You know what's next.
Anime thighs when she open up so wide, I got a twinkle in my eye. Asian pussy is so tight, I just really wanna pipe. Oh my gosh, she got them big ass titties, she's only 5.
That was gay.
What's up, Drama Alert Nation? Let's get on into the news! What's up, dipshit? That wasn't very tasteful of you, man. I don't care. I don't care. I'm so hyper! I'm so hyper. I thirst for chaos! I thirst. Coffee! I had some coffee. I had some soda. Graduation RTA! Let's go! Actual sleep and coffee. I've been getting a lot of sleep lately. I've been getting a lot of sleep. Having a stroke? I'm always having a stroke. You don't understand. Stroke of these nuts! Ay! Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm fucking hyper, mate. Crikey. Crikey. I'm fucking hyper. Jiminy crickets. So anyway, what do we get? The Wendigo! The Wendigo! The Wendigo! Wow! You're in an uncharacteristically good mood. It goes like this, chat. I'm gonna tell you a little story all about my life. How I flip turned the papa tongue. I'm gonna tell you a little story, chat. Here's how it goes. I get in a okay mood. I decide, yo, fuck people. I don't care about people. Let's just do whatever, right? And then I feel free and I feel liberated and yeah. And then I'm like, oh wait, but also I don't wanna. But people are like important. And then I doom. And then I doom. But it's like, man, I don't know. I'm feeling a little hyper off of This is gonna sound kind of cringe, but like I guess I thrive on hate a little bit. Like I thrive on dumb people getting triggered at me over no reason, I guess. Only when it's online. IRL, it's like, oh man, no, like leave me alone, okay? Like IRL, I'm a very like passive person, but online, when it's like other creators pissed off at me, like I don't want like an angry audience that are like hate watching me, right? Like that's fucking cringe. I don't want to be like DSP or Wings, right? I'm not a keyboard warrior, oh my god. But like other creators getting pissed off at me just fills me with like this such like thrill, I guess. Like, bitch, I'm living in your head rent free. I'm living in your head rent free. Oh man. Oh, but then I was also kind of like sad a bit today because there was this creator that I kind of wanted to collaborate with. But then I found out that like I had a long time ago, like I had been in one of her streams. And it was such a bad experience, and I just found out like who like that person is now, and now I'm like, oh man, now I don't wanna. It's just so like this person got mad because I brought up 𝐒𝐡𝐚𝐭. I'm a fan of 𝐒𝐡𝐿, and a long time ago when I was in this person's chat, I don't even remember how it got brought up, but it was relevant to the conversation somehow. And I was like, oh yeah, I love 𝐒𝐡𝐿. And like this person got really upset that I liked 𝐒𝐡𝐿. So they had like personal beef with 𝐒𝐡𝐿, and now I'm like, oh man, this is that fucking person? Now I don't wanna. I don't wanna interact. Man, I wanna fucking keep it simple, you know? I don't wanna ask for collabs. I asked for a few collabs. I don't wanna ask for any more collabs, okay? I don't wanna reach out for collabs. Pippa likes people disliking her. Pippa hate. Nah! Not like that. Like, other creators. Like me living in their fucking head rent free. Like this one person. Holy shit, chat, let's get into some spice! Okay. This one fucking person has had beef with me for like forever. And it's like I had never talked to them before or anything, and they already fucking hated me. And will like make comments about me. And just to like find out recently, I guess, that like I'm still living in their fucking head rent free. It's like, we've never communicated before. Why are you so mad about me? Don't donate until she fixes the audio. I'm sorry, I turned the gain all the way up. Okay, there we go. Vtuber? No, they're an actual creator. They're an actual creator. This is woman tier gossip. Where's the man? Fuck you, like. Are we allowed to name names? No, we can't name names. But it's like, I can't fucking. It's like, man, why are you still mad about me? I never talked to you. I never interacted with you. Who the fuck are you? And this is gonna sound mad petty, but I think this person's still pissed. I think this person is still pissed that they haven't inclined the way they want to incline. What does their name rhyme with? I'm not gonna do that, man. Why are they mad at you? I can't say the reason. I can't say the reason. Cause it's kinda, cause this was from like over a year ago. But yeah, small timer. But this person used to be pretty popular, I guess. Back when the VTuber community was smaller, and now, like I'm still a fucking nobody, right? So why are they still so fucking focused on me, right? Why are they? What? Like, I am a nobody. I have, listen, look at my concurrent viewers right now is 111 on my screen. I am nobody. I am irrelevant. Why are you still mad? Pick a bigger target. Oh my god. Every VTuber likes you. And this is... Stop looking at numbers, man. I don't fucking care. Listen. I have given up on numbers. If I actually gave a shit about numbers, I wouldn't be screaming in my streams. I wouldn't be doing debuff shit like reading horror stories and doing a fucking book club every week. And I don't care. You know what's on my schedule for next week? You guys want to see next week's schedule? You guys want to see next... Little teaser. Little teaser. Fuck people, alright? Fuck people. I know... Listen, I know if I ever, like, inclined massively or whatever, I would... I would probably, like... I would be so tempted to use my powers for evil, right? Because then it's like, you can... When you fucking get big or whatever, you can literally just say whatever the fuck you want about other people and they don't care. That's a lot of Elian. Oh, yeah, that's what Momi said. Elian's an MMO. Fuck you guys, this is an MMO channel now. Man, I'd be so because it's like once you get like 1,000 average viewers or whatever, then you can be like, yeah, fuck this person, they were an asshole to me. And then instead of that person like copyright striking you into oblivion or turning an entire community against you, then it's like you're safe, you know? You're in the home stretch. You can when you have decent sized numbers, you can be blatant about your beef with other people without fearing that they will summon the wrath of God upon you. It is yet another uninspired walk. It's nothing like WoW! Are you stupid? It's nothing like WoW. What the fuck is wrong with you? If anything, it's like a Terra and the Black Desert Online clone. Pippa wants that power. I wanted that power, but like, man, I have a nice... This is manic, leave me alone. Listen, I have a nice, comfy audience here. If I got big, yeah, typical Korean MMO, yes, exactly. It is a Korean grindfest MMO. You realize games don't need factions to exist, right? What? No shit. It's a re-release of Terra, not a WoW clone, yes. Ellen dies, there's no Ellen, I'm sorry. Red Comfy? I mean, you guys are kind of brain damaged, but I like you guys. Does it have Ellen Honey? No, it does not. But man, it's like... I don't want to collab, okay, like, being serious. Being serious. I have a few people that I like, that I'd be happy to collab with again. I'd be happy to collab with Yura. I'm happy to collab with Beatani soon. I'd be happy to collab with Illumi again. But I don't want to get involved with like this fucking... I don't like the VTuber community. I'm gonna be blunt. I don't fucking like the VTuber community. And I don't want to be involved with them. I am a VTuber, but if I get big or whatever, I hope it's... I really... Oh, and Kiki! I like Kiki too! Leave me alone! If I get bigger or whatever, or if I blow up, I don't want it to be with the fucking people that watch VTubers, okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I fucking hate them. I'm sorry. I know it's too... I know that's like too, I guess, on the nose to say, right? Because I enjoy VTubers too. I enjoy VTubers, you know? I will continue to watch Gura and Amelia and some of the others that I watch, but I don't wanna fucking listen. This fucking audience of people that get so fucking offended over everything. No, goodbye, VTuber community. I would much rather focus on, if I'm gonna collaborate with people, I want it to be like face cam streamers. I want to collaborate with people that are not in this highly concentrated okay, you know what this is, chat? You know what the VTuber community is? It's like a koi pond, and the kois are so fucking inbred because like the pond is only so big. Okay? And you got all these fucking people inbreeding, and you got like a lot of oh well, my friend just debuted, let's boost them up, and then it's like the fucking that friend or whatever rises to the top, and everybody else is just sitting here in stagnation, because the ceiling for this community, anyways, if you want to grow, is so fucking low, right? The biggest VTuber is Gargura at 3 million subs, or Pakora with like 25,000 average viewers, okay? And I feel like it's created a sort of... I feel like it's created like this sort of culture where it's like people view that as the ceiling. Everything is compared to Hololive. Everything is like the big companies, you know, are Niji-Sanji and Hololive. And it's like, man, I enjoy Hololive, but like, yeah, it's a niche. It's a fucking niche among weebs. And it's resulted in the same shit that always happens with these niches, is it builds, like, it festers this like toxicity, this hyper-specific culture, and you know what? If you want that to be your culture, enjoy your culture, but I don't want to be fucking part of it. You know what I like, chat? You know what I like? I don't like a hypersensitive community that gets triggered over like the word trap. Okay, I wanna go join the. I wanna go sit in with the. I guess what would the term be like? I guess more like maybe not hardcore gamer. Oh darn, not enough voting for the judges' help. Well, thank you, Derek for the 137. But like, I wanna go over. I wanna hang out with the gamers. You know, I wanna go sit at the gamer table. I don't like the VTuber table. You guys are. I don't like you anymore. I'm sorry. It's like rowdy boys. Oh my god. Like, I wanna go sit over. I wanna go sit with the gamers. I wanna hang out with like the. Listen. You know what the crowd that I would be happy to grow and have? You know what crowd like I want? If I was gonna grow, again, I don't really give a shit about escalating in numbers. I'm at a very comfortable position. But if I was gonna grow in numbers, I would much rather grow in numbers with the people that are watching like Asmongold and XQC and Ms. Kiff. Okay, I don't want to be here. I don't want my viewers being the viewers that are also watching like the same shit that I watch, you know? Fishman's dream is dead. Time to play Fortnite. No. Normies. No. How is that normies? How is that normies? No XQC, please? Fuck you. I love XQC. It's about ethics in the VTuber community, man. I don't know. I'm sorry you're stuck with us. Okay, well, you guys can stay. Nobody else can join in. XQC is pretty normie. He's like the normie of, I guess, like Twitch culture, but when you think about it, like XQC is like a remnant of the older times, right? Like somebody like XQC is not gonna like rise up to the top again. Okay, grandfathered in. That's how like a lot of the older streamers are with Twitch. Is they were kind of like grandfathered in. Pippa want to go back to? Yes, I want to go back to 2016. Okay, I'm sick. I don't know. Maybe I'm longing for like an older time or whatever. Fishman watching this video. The Fishman doesn't care. Fishman doesn't care if I'm not like Dude, there's 7 of us. There's 7 of us in Gen 1, and now there's another one coming up on Gen 2, okay? And I think I've pretty effectively, like, hit the ceiling anyways for how much I can grow here. Send me back to 1998, please. Oh my god. Soda Poppin's pretty base. He was told to stop saying the R word and he ignored it because he's used to it. I haven't watched, like, Soda Poppin', like, at all. Let's go back to 1492. Pip is about to drop a COD commentary now! You're contradicting yourself. Asmongold community is normie as hell. Try being an edgelord around them and see what happens. I mean, okay, I've seen like his band appeal streams, alright? If you're gonna be like saying stuff that's gonna get the streamer banned, alright, like that's like what's gonna happen, okay? Like the fact of the matter is that in the current state of YouTube and Twitch, you know, there's just some shit that you can't say, you know? And if people are saying it in chat, it's gonna get the streamer banned. That's just how it is. That's like the only... I don't know what your definition of edgelord is, but like... Pippa thinks that Asmongold is still 2014 Asmongold. He's not. What is actually wrong in your opinion with current Asmongold? How has he changed, really? She wants the anti-bully audience. Yeah, I want Mr. Anti-Bully's audience. If you want the Twitch community, just stream on Twitch. Okay, Twitch is not a hive mind. Twitch is not a hive mind, chat. Yes, it is. No, it's fucking not, okay? If Twitch is a hive mind, YouTube is a hive mind. All sites have their hive mind? Man, you guys are... That's fucking stupid. Okay, listen. If you act in a specific way on, okay, let's... It's all... Man, what the fuck? Okay, you go on Twitch, right? You go on Twitch. If you act a certain way in, let's say... Even from like game to game, you know, if you find somebody that mainly plays Overwatch, that community is going to be drastically different from somebody that mainly plays something like Escape from Tarkov, right? Like it's very different from streamer to streamer. And there are certain streamers that have a much more similar audience. But yeah. You want the weeb MMO crowd. Not if it's Final Fantasy XIV's crowd. That's one reason I don't want to play Final Fantasy XIV, is I don't want to attract the people that play Final Fantasy XIV. People in that game get so fucking mad over everything. You know what I want, chat? You know what I want? Is I want my own little toxic space where people can like, can You know what I miss? Okay, you know what I miss? I miss when you could play like competitive games and you could tell somebody to kill themselves. And it was just normal, okay? On Final Fantasy XIV, if you tell somebody to kill themselves, they're gonna report you. Need to, like, I wanna find like a good PvP MMO where we can be toxic, because toxic is fun, okay? I like toxic gamer culture, alright? I know, that's fucking... You're not allowed to enjoy that anymore. You're not allowed to enjoy that anymore. But like, okay, listen, I thought the funniest shit was like griefing people in games. Oh my god, Black Desert Online, giants being able to pick people up and shove them on the boats and ship them out to sea. That was fucking amazing. That was fucking amazing. I want that culture. I want that exact culture. I want to fucking play an MMO and I get stream snipers out here trying to ruin my day, because that's fun! It's fun, chat! I don't care what anyone says! I don't care if stream sniper... Oh, yeah. Oh, hi. Thank you for the. Hi Tuesday. Thank you for the akasupa. Toxic. Okay, like I'm not a masochist. It's just fun. Oh shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
It's been a while since we got Nakasupa. No fans out! It didn't go out for Fishmans. Oh shit, you're right. I wonder why. I hear God. Just build your own community. Man, I fucking will. I fucking will. I don't care if it takes 10 years. I want my own community where we can act fucking stupid and where we can... I called a few people. Be gone! Doc Epstein. Oh my god. Thank you for the 211. Here's 10 milligrams of copium. Take it needed daily. What the... Okay. Leaf books are not as powerful. True. Start your own VTuber company. Oh my god. Listen, okay, I don't know why it's so bad, right? I don't know why it's so bad. Are you unhappy with your current community? No, you guys are based. I like you guys. The problem I have is that okay, the summary of like my dissatisfaction. That don't sound like a fucking word. What I am dissatisfied with is it feels like I have this ceiling above me, and if I want to climb up to the rooftop, I have to collab with other VTubers. I have to get in friendly with like Niji Stanji or Hololive, whoever. I have to our V-Shoujo. I have to be friends with those people. I'm fine with being friends with those people. Okay, I don't care, but that's not the. I don't want their kind of audience. I don't want that kind of content. I want to move into another building. I want to move into another building. Fuck this building. I don't like the VTuber building. I want to go walk over, move my shit over, pack it up. Let's move into the fucking like MMO toxic gamer building, okay? Let's play shit where we're like screaming at each other over fucking voice comms. All right, I don't want to be in the VTuber building anymore. I'm still a VTuber, obviously, but like different audience. What did I say? Remember, you could talk shit online and it was fun. Fucking remember? Before the usual suspects ruined everything for their own safety, of course. Man, I fucking hate that. Okay? And you know what? You got your game. You got your fucking game, okay? You want your nice, wholesome MMO. You have Final Fantasy XIV. Stay there. I want to go play something. I don't know. Black Desert Online. I don't know. Maybe some first-person shooters. Where being toxic is okay. I don't think Overwatch actually enforces anything against toxicity. Okay, League bans over that. But like, Mabanogi is a little bit more chill. But like Elion, okay, Elion seems like it's very PvP focused. And I think Elion might be a good chance to really start something, you know? Like, let's bring upon a new era. Let's bully people in game. It's a PvP game. If people are mad, they die mad about it, alright? Fucking bully them off the internet, alright? They're on a PvP game. Time to start grinding Elion. Hell yeah. Let's just fucking bring upon a toxic gamer era! That sounds so cringe. How can I summon a tulpa that's... How can I unsummon a tulpa that's screaming too much? Man, you're stuck with me. But thank you for the 631. I really hope Elion isn't banned for being toxic. I can't exactly take back some of the things I've said to people. Dude, if we got it on the Elion and we get fucking banned for being toxic, I'm dropping it. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. There is no, oh, one day ban, you told somebody to go Minecraft themselves. Okay, fuck them. Fuck them. We will find a game. And if it's not Elion, it'll probably be Black Desert, okay? Because Black Desert, you can do whatever the fuck you want on Black Desert. They don't ban for shit. Can we make that a challenge? Oh my god. Okay, don't go screaming like the freaking slurs or something, alright? Like, you'll probably get banned for that, but... Meanwhile, Pippa has a collab tomorrow! Yeah. That's okay though, that's my gen mates. That's my gen mates, it's fine. Oh wait, red or blue? Blue. Normies, get out. Oh, thank you for the 690. I can't believe the foreshadow from previous streams paid off in this rant. Well, thank you for the 2,500 clip arts. Man, Team Fortress 2 could work. Maybe that seems like kind of a. I don't know. Is that game even getting updated anymore? Payday 2, man, we gotta play some fucking Payday 2. Pippa has never actually said she does. I don't hate my gen mates. Pippa ranting, Pippa rant. It just got. Oh my god! I thought Team Fortress 2 was a dead game. Somebody told me that they don't update it anymore. It's getting bug fixes occasionally. Oh. Let's go fucking bully some people, chat. It's a fucking game. Fucking game, you know. Let's play some MMOs. And let's group up and let's group up in hordes of like 10, 20 people and just surround somebody. And every time they try to revive, just kill them again. I'll donate my liver if you play Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2 is about to get a Hololive boost. Is the word Janny also banned in your chat? I don't think so. Like the Knuckles meme, but more brutal? What? 2B. Hi, Yura! Hi, Yura! How's it going? We were just about to start reading. So, yeah, nothing happened. Okay, so the Wendigo won the poll. Shantager, thank you for becoming a big PP! How much of that did she hear, do you think? Okay, let's find what page the Wendigo is on. Alright, hold on. I'm gonna put like a little graphic up of it on screen. Don't mind me. Algernon Blackwood. Okay. The Wendigo by Algernon. Is it Algernon or Algernon? Pippa doesn't hate. I don't hate Yara! She's one of the people I specifically mentioned I would collab with again. And that I like. Okay, let's put a little picture of this up on screen. I still think Rust is the most toxic. We should play some Rust. Yeah, she's one of the good ones. And thank you for the $1. Grow your audience. I heard Ubisoft has inclined recently. Time to double dip. Also, this hypothetical MMO you're describing is just Eve. Oh. Isn't Eve a spreadsheet simulator though? I don't think I could get into that. Please understand I have Pipkin. Okay, let's put this on screen. Dun 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 dun. Man, we do need to play some more Ubisoft though. Dun, 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 dun. 491. Can't be toxic on Eve, you're the one getting bullied by the people who've played for 10 years! Oh my god. 4. Ah! No book sounds. No book sounds, chat. yeah, basic summary. Basic summary of that entire rant is rejecting weeb culture and returning to toxic MMO culture. And of course we'll have to do some lolcow streams. That's a crispy book. It's very crispy. I just took it out of the packaging. The summary is that you miss the old days. Yeah, I miss one. Man, I miss when you went on YouTube, right? And there were like new griefing videos, like griefing in Minecraft. Hi, Tenma! When people do like griefing videos and stuff, I always thought those were hilarious. I know it's toxic. I don't care. The internet will never go back to how it was, sadly. Yeah, reject idol culture, return to COD briefing. Return to compilations of somebody sitting in a fucking tower, sniping, just sitting there camping, and you hear this little squeaker pop into chat. Stop camping! I don't take Tenma! What the hell? Hearing defeated cries of 12-year-olds who just lost a house they spent 2 weeks building. That's a treasure lost to time. How about starting a gang in GTA Online? Oh, that could be fun. But I don't want my IP address getting leaked by Rockstar. By Rockstar's questionable game design. That's it. So is an 𝐿𝐿eon Pippa clan a thing? We're gonna make it a thing. No VPN. I have a VPN, but it lags my streams. Okay, let's start. The Wendigo by Algernon and Blackwood. And after this, if Roblox is still down, I guess we'll hop on 𝐿𝐿eon. Chapter 1. Although I don't think there really are chapters for this, so I don't know why it says Chapter 1. It's a very short story. Yeah, start downloading 𝐿𝐿eon or Roblox, either or. A considerable number of hunting parties were out that year without finding so much as a fresh trail. For the moose were uncommonly shy, and the various Nimrods returned to the bosoms of their respective families with the best excuse. Hold on, my freaking. Okay. For the moose were uncommonly shy, and the various Nimrods returned to the bosoms of their respective families with the best excuses, the facts, or their imaginations could suggest. Why is my face freaking out? Suggest. Dr. Cathcart, among others, came back without a trophy. Dude, why is my face freaking out? Ah! Dr. Cathcart, among others, came back without a trophy, but he brought instead the memory of an experience which he declares was worth all the bull moose that had ever been shot. But then Cathcart, of Aberdeen, was interested in other things besides moose. Amongst them, the vagaries of the human mind. This particular story, however, found no mention in his book on collective hallucination. For the simple reason, so he confided once to a fellow colleague, that he himself played too intimate a part in it to form a competent judgment of the affair as a whole. What the hell? Besides himself and his guide, Hank Davis, there was a young Simpson. Why is my face freaking out? Hello, person with a Korean name. Thank you for the 5,000 warrior wares. The mold got out. Okay, hold on. Mark Blum, thank you for the $2. Happy trolling, thank you. I don't know what it is. Besides himself and his guide, Hank Davis, there was a young Simpson, his nephew, a divinity student destined for the wee Kirk, then on his first visit to Canadian backwoods, and the latter's guide, Joseph Defago, was a French Canuck who had strayed from his native province of Quebec years before, and had caught in his rat porridge when the wait, oh my god. Shut up, chat! Oi. Who had strayed from his native province of Quebec years before, and had got caught in rat porridge when the Canadian Pacific Railway was a building. A man who, in addition to his unparalleled knowledge of woodcraft and bush lore, could also sing the old Voyager. Why is my face freaking out? Could also sing the old Voyager songs and tell a capital hunting yarn into the bargain. He was deeply susceptible, moreover, to that singular spell. To that singular spell which the wilderness lays upon certain lonely natures, and he loved the wild solitudes with a kind of romantic passion that amounted almost to an obsession. The life of the backwoods fascinated him, whence doubtless his surpassing efficiency in dealing with their misery. What's wrong with the face? I don't know! I don't know why my face is messing up! On this particular expedition, he was Hank's choice. Hank knew him and swore by him. He also swore at him, just as a pal might. And since he had the vocabulary of a picturesque, if utterly meaningless oath, the God, reading just doesn't want to work tonight. Oh my god. I don't know why everything is going wrong tonight, chat. I don't know why everything is going wrong. Hold on. I'm gonna break out the bird prisoner. God protect my soul, chat. Oh, it's more for. Hold on. Oh my god. You're free. I don't understand, chat. I go to read and suddenly birds start screaming. Tracking is freaking out. Bring her didn't help at all last time. Maybe it'll help this time. I don't know. I don't know why she's being so mad lately. Okay. Should I just start over from the beginning? Do you guys want me to just start over from the beginning? This was terrible. Please restart. I really feel like I should. Okay. Take two. Take two. The Wendigo by Algernon Blackwood. Why is it freaking out? I don't understand why my eyes are freaking out. Hold on, 1 second. I am gonna... Maybe if I mess with settings a little bit. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, thank you for $5. Oh no, the meds are kicking in. Oh my god. What did you do before the stream? I did nothing. Okay. It immediately starts just the second I look down. Oh my god. Oh my god. Hold on. Ah! Yeah. Don't mind me, chat! Don't mind me! Hi there. Alright. Let's try this again. The Wendigo by Algernon Blackwood. A considerable number of hunting parties were out that year without finding so much as a fresh trail, for the moose were uncommonly shy. You know what? You know what? Give me a second, chat. Give me a second. There we go. Okay. The Wendigo. Take 4. The Wendigo by Algernon Blackwood. A considerable number of hunting parties were out that year, without finding so much as a fresh trail, for the moose were uncommonly shy, and the various Nimrods returned to the bosoms of their respective families with the best excuses the facts or their imaginations could suggest. Dr. Cathcart, among others, came back without a trophy, but he brought instead the memory of an experience which he declares as worth all of the bull moose that had ever been shot. But then Cathcart of Aberdeen was interested in other things besides moose, amongst them the vagaries of the human mind. This particular story, however, found no mention in his book on collective hallucination, for the simple reason, so he confided once to a fellow colleague, that he himself played too intimate a part in it to form a competent judgment of the affair as a whole. Besides himself and his guide, Hank Davis, there was also young Simpson, his nephew, a divinity student destined for the wee kirk, then on his first visit to Canadian backwoods, and the latter's guide, Defago, Joseph Defago, was a French Canuck who had strayed from his native province of Quebec years before, and had got caught in rat porridge when the Canadian Pacific Railway was a-building. A man who, in addition to his unparalleled knowledge of woodcraft and bush lore, could also sing the old Voyager songs and tell a capital hunting yarn into the bargain. He was deeply susceptible, moreover, to that singular spell which the wilderness lays upon certain lonely natures, and he loved the wild solitudes with a kind of romantic passion that amounted almost to an obsession. The life of the backwoods fascinated him, whence, doubtless, his surpassing efficiency in dealing with their mysteries. On this particular expedition he was Hank's choice. Hank knew him and swore by him. He also swore at him, just as a pal might, and since he had a vocabulary of picturesque, if utterly meaningless oaths, the conversations between the two stalwart and hardy woodsmen was often of a rather lively description. This river of expletives, however, Hank agreed to damn a little out of respect for his old hunting boss, Dr. Cathcart, whom of course he addressed after the fashion of the country as Doc. And also because he understood that young Simpson was already a bit of a parson. He had, however, one objection to 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐿, and one only, which was that the French Canadian sometimes exhibited what Hank described as the output of a cursed and dismal mind, meaning apparently that he sometimes was true to type, Latin type, and suffered fits of a kind of silent moroseness when nothing could induce him to utter speech. 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐿, that is to say, was imaginative and melancholy, and as a rule, it was too long a spell of civilization that induced the attacks, for a few days of the wilderness invariably cured them. Chat, shut the hell up with the Among Us memes. It's called being French. This, then, was the party of 4 that found themselves in camp the last week in October of that shy moose year, way up in the wilderness north of Rat Porridge, a forsaken and desolate country. There was also Punk, an Indian, who had accompanied Dr. Cathcart and Hank on their hunting trips in previous years, who acted as cook. His duty was merely to stay in camp, catch fish, and prepare venison steaks and coffee at a few minutes' notice. He dressed in the worn-out clothes bequeathed to him by former patrons, and, except for his coarse black hair and dark skin, he looked in these city garments no more like a real... outdated, archaic term for a Native American man than a stage outdated term for an African American man. Looks like a real African. For all that, however, however, Punk had in him the instincts of his dying race. Okay, this book is a little outdated. His tact turned silence and his endurance survived. Also his superstition. It's gonna go if you're looking for the $10. Oh boy! This is why you guys voted for this, didn't you? This is why you guys chose this story. The party round the blazing fire that night were despondent. For a week had passed without a single sign of recent moose discovering itself. 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐿 had sung his song and plunged into a story, but Hank, in bad humor, reminded him so often that he kept mussing up the facts so that it was most all nothing but a petrified out lie, that the Frenchman had finally subsided into a sulky silence with which nothing seemed likely to break. Dr. Cathcart and his nephew were fairly done after an exhausting day. Punk was washing up the dishes, venting to himself under the lean-to of branches, where he later also slept. No one troubled to stir the slowly dying fire. Overhead the stars were brilliant and the sky quite wintry, and there was so little wind that ice was already forming stealthily along the shore. Shut up, chat. Along the shore of the still lake behind them. The silence of the vast listening forest stole forward and enveloped them. Hank broke in suddenly with his Hank broke in suddenly with his nasal voice. I'm in favor of breaking new ground tomorrow, Doc. He observed with energy, looking across at his employer. We don't stand a dead... I'm gonna look this word up and make sure it's not a slur. It's a fucking slur! Continuing on. We don't stand a dead, outdated term for an Italian, Spanish, or Portuguese-speaking person. About here. Agreed, said Cathcart, always a man of a few words. Think the idea's good. Sure, Pop, it's good. Hank resumed with confidence. Suppose now you and I strike west up Garden Lake way for a change. None of us ain't touched that quiet bit of land yet. I'm with you. And you, Dafago, take Mr. Simpson along in the small canoe, skip across the lake, portage over into 50 Island water, and take a good squint down that southern shore. The most yarded there, like hell last year, and for all we know, they may be doing it again this year, just to spite us. Dafago, keeping his eyes on the fire, said nothing by way of reply. He was still offended, possibly, about his interrupted story. No one's been up that way this year, and I'll lay my bottom dollar on that, Hank added with emphasis, as though he had a reason for knowing. He looked over at his partner sharply. Better take the little silk tent and stay away a couple nights.
Ladies and
What the fuck?
we got him.
Thank you, Tuesday. Is there a reason you're donating such high? Is there a reason you're donating such high amount? Do you want something? What do you want from me, Tuesday? What do you want from me? I don't know what you want. You're making me nervous, Tuesday. Why are you donating so much? Well, thank you. Well, thank you. He's filling in for Thursday. Tuesday's the sleep. Man, shut the fuck up. He forgot it's Thursday. Wait, has he even said anything in chat? I haven't seen anything from him. There we go, I got shades. They want the Game Awards. Chat, shut the fuck up! But thank you for the $200, Tuesday. I hope that you are donating within your means. Because that's a fuck ton of money, man. Thank you. Jesus Christ, thank you. Where are we? No one's been up that way this year, and I'll lay my bottom dollar on that, Hank added with emphasis, as though he had a reason for knowing. He looked— oh wait, he read this. Better take that little silk tent and stay away a couple of nights, he concluded, as though the matter were definitely settled. For Hank was recognized as general organizer of the hunt and in charge of the party. It was obvious to anyone that Dafago did not jump at the plan, but his silence seemed to convey something more than ordinary disapproval, and across his sensitive dark face there passed a curious expression like a flash of firelights. Not so quickly, however, that the three men had not time to catch it. He funked for some reason, I thought, Simpson said afterwards in the tent he shared with his uncle. Dr. Cathcart made no immediate reply, although the look had interested him enough at the time for him to make a mental note of it. The expression had caused him a passing uneasiness, but he could not quite account for it at the time. But Hank, of course, had been the first to notice it, and the odd thing was that instead of becoming explosive or angry over the other's reluctance, he at once began to humor him a bit. But there ain't no special reason why no one's been up there this year, he said with a perceptible hush in his tone. Not the reason you mean, anyway. Last year was the fires that kept folks out, and this year, I guess it just happened, so that's all. His manner was clearly meant to be encouraging. Joseph 𝐏𝐴𝐻𝐿 raised his eyes for a moment, then dropped them again. A breath of wind stole out of the forest and stirred the embers into a passing blaze. Dr. Cathcart again noticed the expression in the guide's face, and again he did not like it. But this time the nature of the look betrayed itself. In those eyes, for an instant, he caught the gleam of a man scared in his very soul. It disquieted him more than he cared to admit. I flipped the page and it's something racist. Fuck. This book isn't making it easy to not get cancelled! God fucking damn it! It ain't okay, it could be construed as racist. First time reading it, yeah. Okay, bad people up that way? He asked with a laugh to ease matters a little, while Simpson, too sleepy to notice this subtle byplay, moved off to bed with a prodigious yawn. Or anything wrong with the country? He added, when his nephew was out of hearing. Pick a filler word. It's not about the filler word, it's about the sentence itself. being questionable. Hank met his eye with something less than his usual frankness. He's just scared, he replied good-humoredly. Scared stiff about some old fairy tale. That's all, ain't it, old pard? And he gave the Fago a friendly kick on the moss-akin foot that lay nearest the fire. The Fago looked up quickly, as if from an interrupted reverie. A reverie, however, that had not prevented his seeing all that went on about him. Scared nothing, he answered, with a flush of defiance. There's nothing in that bush that can scare Joseph 𝐿, and don't you forget it. And the natural energy with which he spoke made it impossible to know whether he told the whole truth or only part of it. Hank turned towards the doctor. He was just going to add something when he stopped abruptly and looked around. A sound close behind them in the darkness made all three start. It was old Punk, who had moved up from his lean-to while they talked and now stood there just beyond the circle of the firelight, listening. Another time, Doc, Hank whispered. Oh, I read that wrong. Another time, Doc, Hank whispered with a wink. When the gallery ain't stepped down into the walls. And, springing to his feet, he slapped the Indian on the back and cried noisily, Come up to the fire and warm your dirty skin a bit. He dragged him towards the blaze and threw more wood on. That was a mighty good feed you gave us about an hour or two back, he continued heartily, as though to set the man's thoughts on another scent. And it ain't Christian to let you stand out there freezing your old soul to hell while we're getting all good and toasted. Punk moved in and warmed his feet, smiling darkly at the other's volubility. What is this word? I've never heard this word before. Hold on.
Volubility.
Volubility. The quality of talking fluently, readily, or incessantly. Talkativeness. Okay. Which he only half understood, but saying nothing, and presently Dr. Cathcart, seeing that further conversation was impossible, followed his nephew's example and moved off to the tent, leaving the three men to smoke now over the blazing fire. It's not easy to undress in a small tent without waking one's companion, and Cathcart, hearted and warm-blooded as he was in spite of his 50-odd years, did what Hank would have described as a considerable of his twilight in the open. Wait, Hank would have described as considerable of his twilight in the open. He noticed during the process that Punk had meanwhile gone back to his lean-to, and that Hank and 𝐷eFaygo were at it hammer and tongs, or rather, hammer and anvil, the little French-Canadian being the anvil. It was all very like the conventional stage picture of Western melodrama, the fire lighting up their faces with patches of alternate red and black. 𝐷eFaygo in slouch hat and moccasins in the part of the Badlands villain, Hank open-faced and hatless, with that reckless fling of his soldiers, the honest and deceived hero, and old Punk, eavesdropping in the background, supplying the atmosphere of mystery. The doctor smiled as he noticed the details, but at the same time something deep within him, he hardly knew what, shrank a little, as though an almost imperceptible breath of warning had touched the surface of his soul and was gone again before he could seize it. Probably it was traceable to that scared expression he had seen in the eyes of 𝐷eFaygo. Probably. For this hint of fugitive emotion otherwise escaped his usually so keen analysis. 𝐷eFaygo, he was so vaguely aware, might cause trouble somehow. He was not as steady a guide as Hank, for instance. Further than that, he could not get... He watched the men a moment longer before diving into the stuffy tent where Simpson was already sleeping soundly. Hank, he saw, was swearing like a mad... Do I skip this? Why is there so... Dude, I got this book at Barnes & Noble, okay? I didn't think it was gonna be bad. I got this book at Barnes & Noble! They had this sitting out. Okay, this is their collection of horror classics, alright? If anyone should get cancelled, it's Barnes & Noble. They sell Huck Finn at Barnes & Noble. Oh man, I didn't read Huck Finn. I like Tom Sawyer, and Tom Sawyer has moments. Magnum, it doesn't say that. Should've went to Books A Million. Okay, I think the first part is fine. Hank he saw was swearing like a mad African in a New York slur saloon. But it was the swearing of affection. The ridiculous oath flew freely now that cause of their obstruction was asleep. Fuck, I can't fucking read. Presently, he put his arm almost tenderly upon his comrade's shoulder, and they moved off together into the shadows where their tent stood faintly glimmering. Punk, too, a moment later, followed their example and disappeared between his odorous blankets in the opposite direction. Chat, this book is like a fucking, like, monkey's paw. Like, somebody wished for diversity in a book, and they got the diversity, but then, like, the writing is like... The things they say in this book, man! Oh, boy. Dr. Cathcart then likewise turned in, weariness and sleep still frightening in his mind, with an obscure curiosity to know what it is that had scared 𝐷eFaygo about the country up 50 Island Waterway. Wondering, too, why Punk's presence had prevented the completion of what Hank had to say. Then sleep overtook him. He would know tomorrow. Hank would tell him the story while they trudged after the elusive moose. Deep silence fell about the little camp, planted there so audaciously in the jaws of the wilderness. The lake gleamed like a sheet of black glass beneath the stars. The cold air pricked. And the droughts of night that poured their silent tide from the depths of the forest, with messages from distant ridges and from lakes just beginning to freeze. There lay already the faint, bleak odors of coming winter. White men with their dull scent might never have divined them. The fragrance of the wood fire would have concealed from them these almost electrical hints of moss and bark in hardening swamp 100 miles away. Even Hank and 𝐷eFaygo, subtly in league with the soul of the woods as they were, would probably have spread their delicate nostrils in vain. But an hour later, when all slept like the dead, old Punk crept from his blankets and went down to the shore of the lake like a shadow, silently, as only... I mean, it's not a slur, but what it's saying is bad. Like, fuck! It's not a slur, but it's like stereotyping. I don't want Twitter after me, chat! He raised his head and looked about him. The thick darkness rendered sight of small avail, but, like the animals, he possessed other senses that darkness could not mute. He listened, then sniffed the air. Motionless as a hemlock stem, he stood there. After 5 minutes again, he lifted his head and sniffed, and yet once again. A tingling of the wonderful nerves that betrayed itself by no other sign ran through him as he tasted the keen air. Then merging his figure into the surrounding blackness in a way that only wild men and animals could understand, he turned, still moving like a shadow, and went stealthily back to his lean-to in his bed. And soon after he slept, the change of wind he had divined stirred gently the reflection of the stars within the lake, rising among the far reaches of the country beyond 50 Island water. It came from the direction in which he had stared, and it passed over the sleeping camp with a faint and sighing murmur through the tops of the big trees that was almost too delicate to be audible. With it, down the desert paths of night, though too faint, too high even for the Indian's hair-like nerves, there passed a curious thin odor, strangely disquieting. An odor of something that seemed unfamiliar, utterly unknown. The French Canadian and the man of Indian blood each stirred uneasily in his sleep just about this time, though neither of them woke. Then the ghost of that unforgettably strange odor passed away and was lost among the leagues of tenantless forest beyond. Chapter 2. In the morning the camp was astir before the sun. There had been a light fall of snow during the night, and the air was sharp. Punk had done his duty betimes, for the odors of coffee and fried bacon reached every tent. All were in good spirits. "Wind shifted!" cried Hank vigorously, watching Simpson and his guide already loading the small canoe. "It's across the lake, dead right for you fellers, and the snow make bully trails. If there's any moose mussing around up there, they'll not get so much as a tail-end scent of you with the wind as it is. Good luck, Monsieur de Fagel," he added, facetiously giving him the name, its French pronunciation, for once. "Bon chance!" De Fagel returned the good wishes, apparently in the best of spirits, the silent mood gone. Before 8 o'clock, Punk had the camp to himself. Cathcart and Hank were far along the trail that led westwards, while the canoe that carried De Fagel and Simpson, with silk tent and grub for 2 days, was already a dark speck bobbing on the bosom of the lake, going due east. The wintry sharpness of the air was tempered now by sun that topped the wooded ridges and blazed with luxurious warmth upon the world of lake and forest below. Loons flew skimming through the sparkling spray that the wind lifted. Divers shook their dripping heads to the sun and popped smartly out of sight again, and as far as the eye could reach rose the leagues of endless crowding bush, desolate in its lonely sweep and grandeur, untrodden by the foot of man, and stretching its mighty and unbroken carpet right up to the frozen shores of the Hudson Bay. Simpson, who saw it all for the first time as he paddled hard in the bows of the dancing canoe, was enchanted by its austere beauty. His heart drank in the sense of freedom in great spaces just as his lungs drank in the cool and perfumed wind. Behind him in the stern seat, singing fragments of his native chanties, 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 steered the craft of birch bark like a thing of life, answering cheerfully all his companions' questions. Both were gay and light-hearted. On such occasions, men lose the superficial, worldly distinctions. They become human beings working together for a common end. Simpson, the employer, and 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, the employed, among these primitive forces were simply two men, the guider and the guided. Superior knowledge, of course, assumed control, and the younger men fell without a second thought into the quasi-subordinate position. He never dreamed of objecting when 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 dropped the Mr. and addressed him as, "Say, Simpson," or "Simpson, boss," which was invariably the case before they reached the farther shore after a stiff paddle of 12 miles against the headwind. He only laughed and liked it, then ceased to notice it at all. For this divinity student was a young man of parts and character, though as yet, of course, untraveled, and on this trip, the first time he had seen any country but his own, and little Switzerland, the huge scale of things somewhat bewildered him. It was one thing, he realized, to hear about primeval forests, but quite another to see them, while to dwell in them and seek acquaintances with their wildlife was again an initiation that no intelligent man could undergo without a certain shifting of personal values hitherto held for permanent and sacred. Simpson knew the first faint indication of this emotion when he held the new .303 rifle in his hands and looked along its pair of faultless gleaming barrels. The 3 days' journey to their headquarters by lake and portage had carried the process a stage further, and now he was about to plunge beyond even the fringe of wilderness, where they were camped into the virgin heart of uninhabited regions as vast as Europe itself. The true nature of the situation stole upon him with an effect of delight and awe that his imagination was fully capable of appreciating. It was himself, and 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, against a multitude, at least against a Titan. The bleak splendors of these remote and lonely forests rather overwhelmed him with a sense of his own littleness. The stern quality of the tangled backwoods, which can only be described as merciless and terrible, rose out of those far blue woods swimming upon the horizon, and revealed itself. He understood the silent warning. He realized his own utter helplessness. Only 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, as a symbol of distant civilization where man was master, stood between him and a pitiless death by exhaustion and starvation. It was thrilling to him, therefore, to watch 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 turn over the canoe upon the shore, pack the paddles carefully underneath, and then proceed to blaze the spruce stems for some distance on either side of an almost invisible trail, with the careless remark thrown in, "Say, Simpson, if anything happens to me, you'll find the canoe all correct by these marks, then strike due west into the sun to hit the home camp again. See?" It was the most natural thing in the world to say, and he said it without any noticeable inflection of the voice. Only, it happened to express the youth's emotions at the moment with an utterance that was symbolic of the situation and of his own helplessness as a factor in it. He was alone with 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, in a primitive world. That was all. The canoe, another symbol of man's ascendancy, was now to be left behind. Those small yellow patches, made on trees by the axe, were the only indications of its hiding place. Meanwhile, shouldering the packs between them, each man carrying his own rifle, they followed the slender trail over rocks and fallen trunks and across half-frozen swamps, skirting numerous lakes that fairly gemmed the forest, their borders fringed with mist, and towards 5 o'clock found themselves suddenly on the edge of the woods, looking out across a large sheet of water in front of them, dotted with pine-clad islands of all describable shapes and sizes. 50 island water, announced 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 wearily, and the sun just going down to dip his bald old head into it, he added with an unconscious poetry. And immediately they set about pitching camp for the night. And in very few minutes, under those skillful hands that never made a movement too much or a movement too little, the little silk tent stood taut and cozy. The beds of the balsam boughs were already laid, and a brisk cooling fire burned with the minimum of smoke, While the young Scotchman cleaned the fish they had caught trolling behind the canoe, 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 guessed he would, just as soon, take a turn through the bush for indications of moose. "May come across the trunk where they've been and rubbed horns," he said as he moved off, "or feeding on the last of the maple leaves." And he was gone. His small figure melted away like a shadow in the dusk, while Simpson noted with a kind of admiration how easily the forest absorbed him into herself. A few steps, it seemed, and he was no longer visible. Yet there was a little underbrush hereabouts. The trees stood somewhat apart, well spaced, and in the clearings grew silver birch and maple, spear-like and slender, against the immense stems of spruce and hemlock. But for occasional prostrate monsters, and the boulders of grey rock that thrust uncouth shoulders here and there out of the ground, it might have well been a bit of park in the old country. Almost one might have seen it by the I'm not sure what that sentence meant. Almost one might have seen it in the hand of man. A little to the right, however, began the great burnt section, miles in extent, proclaiming its real character. Relay, as it is called, where the fires of the previous year had raged for weeks, and the blackened stumps now rose gaunt and ugly, bereft of branches, like gigantic match-heads stuck into the ground, savage and desolate beyond words. The perfume of charcoal and rain-soaked ashes still hung faintly about it. The dusk rapidly deepened. The glades grew dark. The crackling of the fire and the wash of little waves along the rocky lake shore were the only sounds audible. The wind had dropped with the sun, and in all that vast world of branches nothing stirred. Any moment, it seemed, the woodland gods, who are to be worshipped in silence and loneliness, might sketch their mighty and terrific outlines among the trees. In front, through doorways pillared by huge straight stems, lay the stretch of 50-island water, a crescent-shaped lake some 15 miles from tip to tip, or perhaps 5 miles across where they were camped. A sky of rose and saffron, more clear than any atmosphere Simpson had ever known, still dropped its pale, streaming fires across the waves, where the islands, 100, surely rather than 50, floated like fairy barks of some enchanted fleet, fringed with pines whose crests fingered most delicately in the sky. They almost seemed to move upwards as the light faded, about to weigh anchor and navigate the pathways of the heavens instead of the currents of their native and desolate lake. And strips of colored cloud, like flaunting pennons, signaled their departure to the stars. The beauty of the scene was strangely uplifting. Simpson smoked the fish and burnt his fingers into the bargain in his efforts to enjoy it, and at the same time tended to his frying pan in the fire. Yet ever at the back of his thoughts lay that other aspect of the wilderness, the indifference to human life, the merciless spirit of desolation which took no note of man, the sense of his utter loneliness, now that even 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 had gone, came close as he looked about him and listened for the sound of his companions' returning footsteps. There was pleasure in the sensation, yet with it a perfectly comprehensible alarm, and instinctively the thought stirred in him. What could I, do if anything happened and he did not come back? Well, I'm sensing some foreshadowing. They enjoyed their well-earned supper, eating untold quantities of fish and drinking unmilked tea strong enough to kill men who had not covered 30 miles of hard going, eating little on the way, and when it was over they smoked and told stories round the blazing fire, laughing, stretching weary limbs, and discussing plans for the morrow. Wait. Huh? confused, but maybe it'll explain. And when it was over, they smoked and told stories around the blazing fire. Missing pages, that's what I thought, but maybe it's fine? 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 was in excellent spirits, though disappointed at having no signs of moose to report. But it was dark and he had not gone far. The brûlée, too, was bad. His clothes and hands were smeared with charcoal. Simpson, watching him, realized with renewed vividness their position, alone together in the wilderness. It really feels like something was cut here. A short time skip, it seems, I guess. It really just cuts there for some reason. Like, I don't... Also, oh my god, this is longer than I thought it was. Sweet Jesus. I don't know if I'll be able to finish this tonight, actually. This is quite long. I tried to pick shorter ones. But I guess I underestimated how long. Read faster then. Should have read Owl Creek. I guess should have. I feel bad. I don't want to like. Could just read the whole thing and skip out on gaming since you killed Roblox by being too strong. It's like 20 pages though. I tried to pick ones that were pretty short. Owl Creek, please, short and sweet. We can do Owl Creek another time. I guess we're just gonna keep out this for a while, but... yeah, we're probably gonna have to do a second part of this. What actually are the page numbers here? This is really strange. It really feels like a part that is missing here. 20 pages is long, compared to how long I thought it was, yeah. It's 20 pages though. Tell us you're American without telling us you're American. Actually I'm a streamer who had something after this planned. It's not that 20 pages itself is long, it's that it's long for... I had another stream I was gonna do where we're gonna play Roblox, but... alright. 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, he said presently. You know? These woods, you know, are a bit too big to feel quite at home in. To feel comfortable in, I mean. Eh? He merely gave expression to the mood of the moment. He was hardly prepared for the earnestness, the solemnity, even, with which the guy took him up. Yeah, I think Roblox is still down. You've hit it right, Simpson boss, he replied, fixing his searching brown eyes on his face. And that's the truth, sure. There's no end to 'em. No end at all. Then he added, in a lower tone as if to himself. There's lots found out that, and had gone plumb to pieces. And gone plumb to pieces. Man, I don't know what that means. But the man's gravity of manner was not quite to the other's liking. It was a little too suggestive for the scenery and setting. He was worried he had broached the subjects. He remembered suddenly how his uncle had told him that men were sometimes stricken with a strange fever out of the wilderness, when the seduction of the uninhabited waste caught them so fiercely that they went forth, half fascinated, half deluded, to their death. And he had a shrewd idea that his companion held something in sympathy with that queer type. He led the conversation on to other topics, on to Hank and the doctor, for instance, and the natural rivalry as to who should get the first sight of the moose. If they went due west, observed 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 carelessly, There's 60 miles between us now, with old Punk at halfway house eating himself full to the bustin' with fish and coffee. They laughed together over the picture, but the casual mention of those 60 miles again made Simpson realize the prodigious scale of this land where they hunted. 60 miles was a mere step. 200 little more than a step. Stories of lost hunters rose persistently before his memory. The passion and mystery of homeless and wandering men, seduced by the beauty of great forests, swept his soul in a way too vivid to be quite pleasant. He wondered vaguely whether it was the mood of his companion that invited the unwelcome suggestion with such persistence. "Sing us a song, 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, if you're not too tired," he said. "One of those old Voyager songs you sang the other night." He handed his tobacco pouch to the guide and then filled his own pipe, while the Canadian, nothing loath, sent his light voice across the lake in one of those plaintive, almost melancholy chanties with which lumbermen and trappers lessen the burden of their labor. There was an appealing and romantic flavor about it, something that recalled the atmosphere of the old pioneer days when Indians and wilderness were leagued together, battles frequent in the old country farther off than it is today. Shit, I moved and I lost my spot. The sound traveled pleasantly over the water, but the forest at their backs seemed to swallow it down with a single gulp that permitted neither echo nor resonance. What the fuck?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Tuesday, are you using me to launder money? Are you using me to launder money? Are you laundering money on me? Is this part of a... Tuesday, I hate to break it to you, but like... Tuesday, this isn't a charity. You can't use me as a tax write-off if that's what you're trying to do. It's not like I'm not a tax write-off. No, I don't know. You're making me nervous, man. What the hell? What the fuck? What the fuck? Why? Dude, why? I mean, if we stand the FBI. Oh my god. What the fuck? You're making me anxious. But he's stuck. But thank you. Thank you. If you are money laundering, don't worry, it's in good hands. Oh. Thank you. What the fuck? I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry if I sound so awkward. I just... a lot of money to just drop. But thank you. Money laundered to the FBI, I'm not that nice. But thank you, man. Thank you. Anyway, back to reading. Oh shit, where was I? The sound traveled pleasantly over the water, but the forest at their back seemed to swallow it down with a single gulp that permitted neither echo nor resonance. It was in the middle of the third verse that Simpson noticed something unusual. Something that brought his thoughts back with a rush from faraway scenes. A curious change had come into the man's voice. Even before he knew what it was, uneasiness caught him, and looking up, he saw that 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, though still singing, was peering about him into the bush, as though he heard or saw something. His voice grew fainter, dropping to a hush, and ceased altogether. The same instant, with a movement amazingly alert, he started to his feet and stood upright, sniffing the air. Like a dog scenting game, He drew the air into his nostrils in short, sharp breaths, turning quickly as he did so in all directions and finally pointing down the lake shore eastwards. It was a performance unpleasantly suggestive and at the same time singularly dramatic. Simpson's heart fluttered disagreeably as he watched it. "Lord, man, how you made me jump!" he exclaimed, on his feet beside him the same instant, and peering over his shoulder into the sea of darkness. "What's up? Why are you frightened?" Even before the question was out of his mouth, he knew it was foolish. For any man with a pair of eyes in his head could see that the Canadian had turned white down to his very gills. Not even sunburn and the glare of the fire could hide that. The student felt himself trembling a little, weakish in the knees. "What's up?" he repeated quickly. "You smell a moose? Or anything queer? Anything wrong?" His voice lowered instinctively. He lowered his voice instinctively. The forest pressed around them with its encircling wall. The nearer tree stems gleamed like bronze in the firelight. Beyond that, blackness, and so far as he could tell, a silence of death. Just behind them, a passing puff of wind lifted a single leaf, looked at it, then laid it softly down again without disturbing the rest of the covey. Covey? It seemed as if a million invisible causes had come just to produce that single visible effect. Other life pulsed about them, and was gone. 𝐴𝐻𝐻𝐿 turned abruptly. The livid hue of his face had turned to a dirty gray. "I never said I heard or smell nothing," he said slowly and emphatically, in an oddly altered voice that conveyed somehow a touch of defiance. "I was only taking a look around, so to speak. It's always a mistake to be too previous with your questions." Then he added suddenly, with obvious effort, in his more natural voice, "Have you got the matches, Boss Simpson?" and proceeded to light the pipe he had half filled just before he began to sing. Without speaking another word, they sat down again by the fire, 𝐴𝐻𝐻𝐿 changing his side so that he could face the direction the wind came from, for even a tenderfoot could tell that. Typo. 𝐴𝐻𝐻𝐿 changed his position in order to hear and smell all there was to be heard and smelt, and since he now faced the lake with his back to the trees, it was evidently nothing in the forest that had sent so strange and sudden a warning to his marvelously trained nerves. "Guess now I don't feel like singing any," he explained presently of his own accord. "That song kinda brings back memories that's troublesome to me. I never oughter begun I never oughter have begun. It sets me on to imagining things, see?" Clearly the man was still fighting with some profoundly moving emotion. He wished to excuse himself in the eyes of the other, but the explanation, and that was only part of the truth, was a lie. And he knew perfectly well that Simpson was not deceived by it, for nothing could explain away the livid terror that he had dropped over his face while he stood there sniffing the air. And nothing, no amount of blazing fire or chatting on ordinary subjects, could make that camp exactly as it had been before. The shadow of an unknown horror, naked if unguessed, that had flashed for an instant in the face and gestures of the guide, had also communicated itself, vaguely and therefore more potently, to his companion. The guide's visible efforts to dissemble the truth only made things worse. Moreover, to add to the younger man's uneasiness was the difficulty, nay, the impossibility he felt of asking questions, and also his complete ignorance as to the cause. Indians, wild animals, forest fires, all these he knew, were wholly out of the question. His imagination searched vigorously, but in vain. Yet somehow or other, after another long spell of smoking, talking, and roasting themselves before the great fire, the shadow that had so suddenly invaded their peaceful camp began to lift. Perhaps 𝐴𝐻𝐻𝐿's efforts, or the return of his quiet and normal attitude, accomplished this. Perhaps Simpson himself had exaggerated the affair out of all proportion to the truth, or perhaps the vigorous air of the wilderness brought its own powers of healing, Whatever the cause, the feeling of immediate horror seemed to have passed away as mysteriously as it had come, for nothing occurred to feed it. Simpson began to feel that he had permitted himself the unreasoning terror of a child. He put it down partly to a certain subconscious excitement that this wild and immense scenery had generated in his blood, partly to the spell of solitude, and partly to over-fatigue. That pallor in the guide's face was, of course, uncommonly hard to explain, yet it might have been due in some way to an effect of firelight, or his own imagination. He gave it the benefit of the doubt. It was Scotch. When a somewhat unordinary emotion has disappeared, the mind always finds a dozen ways of explaining away its causes. Simpson lit a last pipe and tried to laugh to himself. On getting home to Scotland, it would make quite a good story. He did not realize that his laughter was a sign that terror still lurked in the recesses of his soul. That, in fact, it was merely one of the conventional signs by which a man, seriously alarmed, tries to persuade himself that he is not so. The 𝐏𝐴𝐭, however, heard that low laughter and looked up with surprise on his face. The two men stood side by side, kicking the embers about before going to bed. It was 10 o'clock, a late hour for hunters to still be awake. "What's tickling you?" he asked in his ordinary tone, yet gravely. I was thinking of our little toy woods at home, just at that moment," stammered Simpson, coming back to what really dominated his mind, and startled by the question. "And comparing them to all this," and he swept his arms wide around to indicate the bush. A pause followed in which neither of them said anything. "All the same, I wouldn't laugh about it if I was you," the 𝐏𝐴𝐭 added, looking over Simpson's shoulder into the shadows. "There's places in there nobody won't ever... Wait. Sorry! There's places in there nobody won't never see into. Nobody knows what lives in there either. Too big? Too far off?" The suggestions in the guide's manner was immense and horrible. The 𝐏𝐴𝐭 nodded. The expression on his face was dark. He too felt uneasy. The younger man understood that in a hinterland of this size there might well be depths of woods that would never in the life of the world be known or trodden. The thought was not exactly the sort he welcomed. In a loud voice, cheerfully, he suggested that it was time for bed. But the guide lingered, tinkering with the fire, arranging the stones needlessly, doing a dozen things that did not really need doing. Evidently, there was something he wanted to say, yet found it difficult to get at. "Say, you, Boss Simpson," he began suddenly, as the last shower of sparks went up into the air. "You don't smell nothing, do you? Nothing particular, I mean." The commonplace question, Simpson realized, veiled a dreadfully serious thought in his mind. A shiver ran down his back. "Nothing but this burning wood," he replied firmly, kicking again at the embers. The sound of his own foot made him start. "And all evening you ain't smell nothing?" persisted the guide, peering at him through the gloom. "Nothing extraordinary and different to anything else you ever smelt before?" No, man, nothing at all," he replied aggressively, half angrily. The 𝐏𝐴𝐭's face cleared. "That's good," he exclaimed, with evident relief. That's good to hear." "Have you?" asked Simpson sharply, in the same instant regretted the question. The Canadian came closer in the darkness. He shook his head. "I guess not," he said, though without overwhelming conviction. "It must have been just that song of mine that did it. It's the song they sang in lumber camps and God-forsaken places like that, when they're scared the Wendigos somewhere around doing a bit of swift traveling." "And what's the Wendigo, pray?" Simpson asked quickly, irritated because again he could not prevent the sudden shiver of nerves. He knew that he was close upon the man's terror and the cause of it, yet a rushing, passionate curiosity overcame his better judgment and his fear. The figure turned swiftly and looked at him as though he were suddenly about to shriek. His eyes shone, his mouth was wide open, yet all he said, or whispered rather, for his voice sank very low, was, "It's nothing. Nothing but what those lousy fellers believe when they've been hitting the bottle too long. A sort of great animal that lives up yonder." He jerked his head northwards, quick as lightning in its tracks, and bigger'n anything else in the bush, and ain't supposed to be very good to look at. That's all. "A backwoods superstition," began Simpson, moving hastily towards the tent in order to shake off the hand of the guide that clutched his arm. Come, hurry up for God's sake, and get the lantern going. It's time we were in bed and asleep if we're going to be up with the sun tomorrow." The guide was close on his heels. "I'm coming," he answered out of the darkness. "I'm coming." And after a slight delay, he appeared with the lantern and hung it from a nail in the front pole of the tent. The shadows of 100 trees shifted their places quickly as he did so, and when he stumbled over the rope, diving swiftly inside, the whole tent trembled as though a gust of wind struck it. The two men lay down, without undressing, upon their beds of soft balsam boughs cunningly arranged. Inside, all was warm and cozy, but outside the world of crowding trees pressed close about them, marshalling their million shadows and smothering the little tent that stood there like a wee white shell facing the ocean of tremendous forest. "Tuesday, thank you for the $10. This super chat is red. Actually, it's yellow." Imposter! But wait, is this double? Wait, is it double think? No. Shit, what's... Yeah, it's double think that the super chat is yellow, but... Wait, the super chat is red, but it's also yellow. There you go. I don't fucking know. I like reading. Shit, where was I? Outside world... Between the two lonely figures within, however, there pressed another shadow that was not a shadow from the night. It was the shadow cast by the strange fear, never wholly exorcised, that had leaped swiftly upon Davigo in the middle of his singing, and Simpson as he lay there, watching the darkness through the open flaps of the tent, ready to plunge into the fragrant abyss of sleep, knew first that unique and profound stillness of a primeval forest, when no wind stirs, and when the night has weight and substance that enters the soul to bind a veil about it. Then sleep took him. So we're on chapter 3. Is that a real song? Ah! I hit the thing. Rainbow. Well, thank you for the rainbow super chat. Is that a real song, chat? I want to find it. Hold on. What would that be? Canadian... Oh, thank you for the $2 today. Canadian... Wendigo? Song? Me chanting? Is it a real thing, do you think? I don't see any. Thank you for the $1 Tuesday. That is the Yura super chat color. It's her shade of blue. This is the first rainbow super chat on Pippa's stream. I think so. Yeah, I can't find a YouTube video of it. Tippers apparently has a real oil baron. Although, don't oil barons have, like, don't they donate in, like, a different currency? I don't know. The oil barons don't... Are there American oil barons? They flagged as me last month already. I tell them it's me every time. Huh? It's a song in native tongue though, so... Huh? Native Wendigo song? Is it this? This is the Wendigo Con song? I'm not sure. I think this is this like a more modern thing? I don't know. But the 𝐿𝐴𝐻 is not he's a French Canadian. What is happening right now? I tried to find... Are you the real Tuesday, or are you somebody pretending to be him? Or her? I will not assume your gender. I don't know, it would have been nice to find... Hold on. Wendigo French Canadian song. I can't find it. The song is extremely old. Well, let me know if you guys find it. So chapter 3. Thus it seemed to him, at least, yet it was true that the lap of the water, just beyond the tent door, still beat time with his lessening pulses when he realized that he was lying with his eyes open, and that another sound had recently introduced itself with cunning softness between the splash and murmur of the little waves. And long before he understood what the sound was, it had stirred in him with the centers of pity and alarm. He listened intently, though at first in vain, for the running blood beat all its drums too noisily in his ears. Did it come, he wondered, from the lake or from the woods? Then suddenly, with a rush and a flutter of the heart, he knew that it was close beside him in the tent, and when he turned over for a better hearing, it focused itself unmistakably not 2 feet away. It was the sound of weeping. The 𝐿𝐴𝐻 upon his bed of branches was sobbing in the darkness, as though his heart would break, the blankets evidently stuffed against his mouth to stifle it. And his first feeling, before he could think or reflect, was the rush of a poignant and searching tenderness. The sentiment, human sound, heard amid the desolation about them, woke pity. It was so incongruous, so pitifully incongruous, and so vain. Tears in this vast and cruel wilderness, of what avail? He thought of a little child crying in mid-Atlantic, and of course with a fuller realization, and the memory of what had gone before, came the descent of terror upon him, and his blood ran cold. "The 𝐿𝐴𝐻," he whispered quickly. "What's the matter?" He tried to make his voice very gentle. "Are you in pain? Unhappy?" There was no reply, but the sound ceased abruptly. He stretched his hand out and touched him. The body did not stir. "Are you awake?" For it occurred to him that the man was crying in his sleep. "Are you cold?" He noticed that his feet, which were uncovered, projected beyond the mouth of the tent. He spread an extra fold of his blankets over them. The guide had slipped down in his bed, and the branches seemed to have been dragged with him. He was afraid to pull the body back again for fear of waking him. 1 or 2 tentative questions he ventured softly, but though he waited for several minutes there came no reply. nor any sign of movement. Presently he heard his regular and quiet breathing, and putting his hand again gently on the breast, felt the steady rise and fall beneath. "Let me know if anything's wrong," he whispered, "or if I can do anything. Wake me at once if you feel queer." He hardly knew what to say. He lay down again, thinking and wondering what it all meant. 𝐏𝐴𝐽, of course, had been crying in his sleep. Some dream or other had afflicted him. Yet never in his life would he forget that pitiful sound of sobbing, and the feeling that the whole awful wilderness of wood listened. His own mind busied itself for a long time with the recent events, of which this took its mysteriously place as one. And though his reason successfully argued all away in unwelcome suggestions, a sensation of uneasiness remained, resisting ejection, very deep-seated, peculiar beyond ordinary. Well, chapter 3 was very short, now we're on chapter 4. But sleep, in the long run, proves greater than all emotions. His thoughts soon wandered again. He lay there, warm as a toast, exceedingly weary, the night soothed and comforted, blunting the edges of memory and alarm. Half an hour later, he was oblivious of everything in the outer world about him. Yet sleep in this case was his great enemy, concealing all approaches, smothering the warnings of his nerves. And sometimes in a nightmare events crowd upon each other's heels with a conviction of dreadfulest reality, yet some inconsistent detail accuses the whole display of incompleteness and disguise, so the events that now followed, though they actually happened, persuaded the mind somehow that the detail which could explain them had been overlooked in the confusion, and that therefore they were but partly true, the rest delusion. But at the back of the sleeper's mind, something remains awake, ready to let slip the judgment. All this is not quite real. When you wake up, you'll understand. And thus, in a way, it was with Simpson. The events, not wholly inexplicable or incredible in themselves, yet remain for the man who saw and heard them a sequence of separate acts of cold horror, because the little piece that might have made the puzzle clear lay concealed or overlooked. Oh, I think the dancer song is called 𝐴𝐴𝐽 but it looks like it may be hard to find actual audio or video. Damn. Well, thank you for trying to find it. So far as he can recall, it was a violent movement, running down towards the tent through the door, towards the door, that first woke him and made him aware that his companion was sitting bolt upright beside him, quivering. Hydrate, or no. Thank you also for the 3:15. Hours must have passed, for it was the pale gleam of dawn that revealed his outline against the canvas. This time the man was not crying. He was quaking like a leaf. The trembling he felt plainly through the blankets down the entire length of his own body. 𝐴𝐴𝐽 had huddled down against him for protection, shrinking away from something that apparently concealed itself near the door flaps of the tent. Simpson thereupon called out in a loud voice some question or another. In the first bewilderment of waking, he does not remember exactly what. Shut up. And the man made no reply. The atmosphere and feeling of true nightmare lay horribly about him, making movement and speech both difficult. At first, indeed, he was not sure where he was. Whether in one of the earlier camps or at home in his bed at Aberdeen, the sense of confusion was very troubling. And next, almost simultaneous with his waking, it seemed, the profound stillness of the dawn outside was shattered by a most uncommon sound. It came without warning, or audible approach, and it was unspeakably dreadful. It was a voice, Simpson declares, possibly a human voice, hoarse yet plaintive. A soft, roaring voice close outside the tent, overhead rather than upon the ground, of immense volume. While in some strange way, most penetratingly and seductively sweet. It rang out, too, and 3 separate and distinct notes or cries that bore in some odd fashion a resemblance far-fetched yet recognizable to the name of the guide. Go. The student admits he is unable to describe it quite intelligently, for it was unlike any sound he had ever heard in his life, and combined a blending of such contrary qualities. A sort of windy, crying voice, he calls it, as of something lonely and untamed, wild and of abominable power. And even before it ceased, dropping back into the great gulfs of silence, the guide beside him had sprung to his feet and, with an answering though unintelligible cry, he blundered against the tent pole with violence, shaking the whole structure, spreading his arms out frantically for more room, and kicking his legs impetuously free of the clinging blankets. For a second, perhaps two, he stood upright by the door, his outline dark against the pallor of the dawn. Then, with a furious, rushing speed, before his companion could move a hand to stop him, he shot with a plunge through the flaps of the canvas and was gone. And as he went, so astonishingly fast that the voice could actually be heard dying in the distance, he called aloud in tones of anguished terror that at the same time held something strangely like the frenzied exultation of delight. My feet of fire! My burning feet of fire! Oh, this height and fiery speed! And then the distance quickly buried it, and the deep silence of very early morning descended upon the forest as before. It's the voice of Bart Bresner, yeah. It had all come about with such rapidity that, but for the evidence of the empty bed beside him, Simpson could have almost believed it had been the memory of a nightmare carried over from sleep. He still felt the warm pressure of that vanished body against his side. There lay the twisted blankets in a heap. The very tent yet trembled with the vehemence of the impetuous departure. The strange words rang in his ears as though he still heard them in the distance. Wild language of a suddenly stricken mind. Moreover, it was not only the senses of night and the hearing that reported uncommon things to his brain, for even while the man cried and ran, he had become aware that a strange perfume, faint yet pungent, pervaded the interior of the tent. And it was at this point, it seems, brought to himself by the consciousness that his nostrils were taking this distressing odor down into his throat, that he found his courage, sprang quickly to his feet, and went out. The grey light of dawn that dropped, cold and glimmering, but between the trees revealed the scene tolerably well. There stood the tent behind him, soaked with dew, the dark ashes of the fire still warm, the lake white beneath a coating mist, the islands rising darkly out of it like objects packed in wool, the patches of snow beyond among the clear spaces of the bush, everything cold, still waiting for the sun, but nowhere a sign of the vanished guide. Still, doubtless, flying at frantic speed through the frozen woods. There was not even the sound of disappearing footsteps nor the echoes of the dying voice. He had gone. Utterly. There was nothing but the sense of his recent presence, so strongly left behind about the camp, and this penetrating, all-pervading odor. And even this was now rapidly disappearing in its turn, in spite of his exceeding mental perturbation. Simpson struggled hard to detect its nature, and define it, but the ascertaining of an elusive scent not recognized subconsciously and at once is a very subtle operation of the mind, and he failed. It was gone before he could properly seize or name it. Approximate description, even, seems to have been difficult, for it was unlike any smell he knew. Acrid, rather, not unlike the odor of a lion, he thinks, yet softer and not wholly unpleasing, with something almost sweet in it that reminded him of the scent of decaying garden leaves, earth, and the myriad, nameless perfumes that make up the odor of a big forest. Yet, The odor of lions is the phrase which usually sums it all up. Then, it was wholly gone, and he found himself standing by the ashes of the fire, in a state of amazement and stupid terror that left him the helpless prey of anything that chose to happen. Had a muskrat poked its pointed muzzle over a rock, or a squirrel scuttled in that instant down the bark of a tree, he would have most likely have collapsed without more ado and fainted. For he felt about the whole affair the touch somewhere of a great outer horror, and his scattered powers had not as yet had time to collect themselves into a definite attitude of fighting self-control. Nothing did happen, however. A great kiss of wind ran softly through the awakening forest, and a few maple leaves here and there rustled tremblingly to the earth. The sky seemed to grow suddenly much lighter. Simpson felt the cool air upon his cheek and uncovered head, realized that he was shivering with the cold, and, making a great effort, realized next that he was alone in the bush, and that he was called upon to take immediate steps to find and succor his vanished companion. Make an effort, accordingly, he did, though an ill-calculated and futile one. With that wilderness of trees about him, the sheet of water scurrying... The sheet of water cutting him off behind, and the horror of that wild cry in his blood, he did what any other inexperienced man would have done in a similar bewilderment. He ran about, without any sense of direction, like a frantic child, and called loudly without ceasing the name of the guide. 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿! He yelled, and the trees gave him back the name as often as he shouted, only a little softened. 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿. He followed the trail that lay for a short distance across the patches of snow, and then lost it again where the trees grew too thickly for snow to lie. He shouted till he was hoarse, until the sound of his own voice and all that unanswering and listening world began to frighten him. His confusion increased in direct ratio to the violence of his efforts. His distress became formidably acute, till at length his exertions defeated their own object, and from sheer exhaustion he headed back to the camp again. It remains a wonder that he ever found his way. It was with great difficulty, and only after numberless false clues, that he at last saw the white tent between the trees, and so reached safety. Exhaustion then applied its own remedy, and he grew calmer. He made the fire and breakfasted. Hot coffee and bacon put a little sense and judgment into him again, and he realized that he had been behaving like a boy. He now made another and more successful attempt to face the situation collectedly, and a nature naturally plucky coming to his assistance, he decided that he must first make as thorough a search as possible, failing success in which he must find his way to the home camp as best as he could and bring help. Let me just take a peek here. Okay, where the... I lost my spot. I am so fucking bad at reading chat. I don't know why you guys tune into this stuff. I'm so freaking... And this was what he did. Taking food, matches, and a rifle with him, and a small axe to blaze the trees against his return journey, he set forth. It was 8 o'clock when he started, the sun shining over the tops of the trees in a sky without clouds. Pinned to a stake by the fire, he left a note in case the figure returned while he was away. This time, according to a careful plan, he took a new direction, intending to make a wide sweep that must sooner or later cut into indications of the guide's trail. And before he had gone a quarter of a mile, he came across the tracks of a large animal in the snow, and beside it the light and smaller tracks of what were beyond question human feet. the fate of 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿. The relief he had once experienced was natural, though brief. For at first sight he saw in these tracks a simple explanation of the whole matter. These bid marks had surely been left behind by a bone moose that, wind against it, had blundered upon the camp, and uttered its singular cry of warning and alarm the moment its mistake was apparent. 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, in whom the hunting instinct was developed to the point of uncanny perfection, had scented the brute coming down the wind hours before. His excitement and disappearance were due, of course, to his. Then the impossible explanation at which he grasped faded, as common sense showed him mercilessly that none of this was true. No guide, much less a guide like 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, could have acted in so irrational a way, going off without even his rifle. The whole affair demanded a far more complicated elucidation. When he remembered the details of it all, the cry of terror in amazing language, the great face of horror when his nostrils first caught the new odor, that a muffled sobbing in the darkness, and... For this too now came back to him dimly. The man's original aversion for this particular bit of country. Besides, now that he had... Hold on, I gotta take a sip. I have Coca-Cola! Ha! Just a little sippy. A little tiny sip. Sipkin. Pippa-Cola. Okay, where was I? Besides, now that he examined them closer, these were not the tracks of a moose at all. Hank had explained to him the outline of a bull's hoofs, of a cow's, or a calf's too, for that matter. He had drawn them clearly on a strip of birch bark, and these were wholly different. They were big, round, ample, and with no pointed outline as of sharp hooves. He wondered for a moment whether bear tracks were like that. There was no other animal he could think of, for caribou did not come so far south at this season, and even if they did, they would not leave hoof marks. Oh, but a bear would? What the fuck? They were ominous signs. These mysterious writings left in the snow by the unknown creature that had lured a human being away from safety. And when he coupled them in his imagination with that haunting sound that broke the stillness of the dawn, a momentary dizziness shook his mind, distressing him again beyond belief. He felt the threatening aspect of it all, and stooping down to examine the marks more closely, he caught a faint whiff of that sweet yet pungent odor that had made him instantly straighten up again, fighting a sensation almost of nausea. Then his memory played him another evil trick. He suddenly recalled those uncovered feet projecting beyond the edge of the tent, and the body's appearance of having been dragged towards the opening, the man shrinking from something by the door when he awoke later. The details now beat against his trembling mind with concerted attack. They seemed to gather in those deep spaces of the silent forest about him, where the host of trees stood waiting, watching to see what he would do. The woods were closing around him. Times, people. What? What's going on? With the persistence of true pluck, however, Simpson went forward, following the tracks as best he could, smothering these ugly emotions that sought to weaken his will. He blazed innumerable trees as he went, ever fearful of being unable to find the way back, and calling aloud at intervals of a few seconds the name of the guide. The dull tapping of the axe upon the massive trunks, and the unnatural accents of his own voice became at length sounds that he even dreaded to hear. For they drew attention without ceasing to his presence and exact whereabouts, and if it really were the case that something was hunting himself down in the same way that he was hunting down another, with a strong effort he crushed the thought out the instant it rose. It was the beginning, he realized, of a bewilderment utterly diabolical, in kind that would speedily destroy him. Although the snow was not continuous, lying merely in the shallow flurries over the more open spaces, he found no difficulty in following the tracks for the first few miles. They went straight as a ruled line wherever the trees permitted. The strides soon began to increase in length, till it finally assumed proportions that seemed absolutely impossible for any ordinary animal to have made. Like huge flying leaps it became. One of these he measured, and though he knew that stretch of 18 feet must be somehow wrong, he was at a complete loss to understand why he found no signs on the snow between the extreme points. But what perplexed him even more, making him feel his vision had gone utterly awry, was that the Fago's stride increased in the same manner, and finally covered the same incredible distances. It looked as if the great beast had lifted him with it and carried him across these astonishing intervals. Simpson, who was much longer in the limb, found that he could not compass even half the stretch by taking a running jump. We all good? We all good? In the sight of these huge tracks, running side by side, silent, evident of a dreadful journey in which terror or madness had urged to impossible results, was profoundly moving. It shocked him in the secretive depths of his soul. It was the most horrible thing his eyes had ever looked upon. He began to follow them mechanically, absent-mindedly almost, ever peering over his shoulder to see if he too were being followed by something with a gigantic tread. And soon it came about that he had no longer quite realized what it was they signified. These impressions left upon the snow by something nameless and untamed, always accompanied by the footmarks of the little French Canadian, his guide, his comrade, the man who he had shared his tent with a few hours before, chatting, laughing, even singing by his side. And that leaves us at chapter 5. I wonder, should we call it here, perhaps? And move on to a game? I'm really struggling with reading tonight. Although Roblox is still down, isn't it? So Roblox is still down. Is there anything else we could do? Do you guys want to pop on to Elion or something? Yeah, what the heck? Tell something that. Holy shit. What you fucking guys with the fucking. Jesus Christ. Good job dodging all the 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐭. Your reading streams are always some of my favorite. Oh, God, thank you, Jail710. Oh no. Install Team Fortress 2 Live. Oh my god. Let me know I'm enjoying this art. Well, thank you. Apex. Fuck out of here. I don't want to play Apex. I resigned myself. I am not playing Apex. I don't care if somebody from the company wants to collab and play Apex. I don't want to play Apex. I don't. I have no interest in Apex. I don't care about Apex. It doesn't look fun. It's not fun for me to watch. What's Elion? Elion is an MMO that we'll probably be spending our lives on. You should check out the members only channel on Discord. There's a members only channel on Discord? Is it the supporters one? Which one is it? It's not the 𝐒𝐡𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 What are they doing in here?
Ooh, we don't like that.
Reese, attack him.
Kill it.
Him.
Kill it.
Kill
Oh,
him.
that's loud. I popped into the hangout. I popped down into the company hangout thing. What channel am I supposed to be looking at? Is it the Pippa list? Is it this one? Members chat under supporters. Oh shit, it's Tuesday! What's up to— oh, nice Shion avatar. Tuesday, you'll be very happy. We got Shion's mama for Gen 2. What's going on in the members channel? What's going on in here? Actually, is that what brought you here Tuesday? You wanna see Why are you guys telling me to look at this? You guys don't even know. You guys dragged me in here for nothing. I'm gonna go fucking harass these people again.
Just have fun.
Eh?
What is good? Oh.
What are you guys? Oh no.
Nani
Is Pippa fucking with the voice?
She's fucking raiding us.
I'm not fucking
God.
Pippa's
We're just trying to play some Risk of Rain too.
She actually
Alright, I'm done with that. Now you guys are posting feet. I don't want to see the feet. Why did you guys have me look at the member channel? There's nothing going on in here. Also, I don't have a bookmark. I'm gonna use chopsticks. Man. Put the feet on stream. No. The poor book? Yeah, I need to find a proper bookmark. Why? You guys told me to look at this fucking channel. There's nothing going on in here. There's nothing going on in here. I don't know what you wanted from me. What did you want from me? What did you want from me? I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want. That was for you, but what the fuck? You got trolled, man. You guys are messing with me. You guys probably like desperately try to communicate with me at points. You're like, Pippa! Pippa, listen, Pippa, there's like a dox on screen or something. And I'm just like, ah. So yesterday I had eggs for breakfast. And now you guys are probably like talking between each other. And that's what I pick up on. Man. Okay, I don't think Roblox is gonna happen because Roblox is fucking dead. But I'm gonna turn this stream off. And I'm gonna start up the next one in a second. I wanna go use the restroom and stuff. I'm trying to keep the VODs more like sorted. I'll probably cut out all the ranting from this VOD. So it's just the reading. But yeah, okay, let's set up the redirect. And dun dun dun. %90 of the VOD is gone, 𝐒𝐿. Yep. Just timestamp it. Oh shit, that's a good idea. Shit, that's a good idea. Unread Pip, thank you Magnum for the $5. Okay, thank you guys so much. We're gonna end this here, and we're gonna move on to the other stream. And it's probably only gonna be like an hour long, but man, I feel like playing something tonight. Okay, I'm so like I'm itching to play something. Well, see you with the next VOD. Stream.
I believe in death, destruction, chaos, filth, and greed.
The stream isn't over. I don't need to read names. I'll read names in the next VOD, man. Get the fuck out of here. Go to the next stream. Punk.
I believe in death, destruction, chaos, filth, and greed.